All right, I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have the acceptance of the minutes from October 2nd. I want to thank Member Bolano for filling in as acting chair. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So there was a discussion, public hearing on the Cressy subdivision, and the negative declaration, and then a resolution granting preliminary layout and final subdivision plat approval for Cressy subdivision, which was approved. And then we had MCC Holdings. And the public hearing was continued till tonight. And then for new business, Judson Farm subdivision, and a resolution classifying the action for the Judson Farm subdivision lot line alteration, which was approved. And the dual handler lot line adjustment, and classifying the action for that. And then increase some escrow, and then adjourn the meeting. I'll need a motion to approve the minutes. Motion made by Member Roman, seconded by Member Bolano. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Okay, motion passes 6-0 with one absence. Then we have a public hearing for 3185 Route 22 MCC Apartments, a continuation of the public hearing from October 2nd. So we're going to hear from the applicant first, and then to see whether discussion needs to take place before we continue the public hearing from the second. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello again. Again, Peter Sander, representing the applicant, Michael Orvici, regarding the 3185 Route 22 project. The project is a 17-unit with mixed-use development with 2 residential structures in the rear of the site, and then a commercial and residential structure towards the front facing Route 22. As we discussed in the past, the site is within the density limits required for the HM district, Hamlet Mixed Use, which is a high-density district specifically designed for this multifamily mixed-use development. Since the previous submission, we've made some minor changes. Apologize for getting those to you. It was a little late on that, but being that they were addressing recommendations and some minor edits, we didn't foresee that being too much of an issue. Other than that, nothing has really changed too much on this project. Happy to address any more questions that the board may have.
Okay. Are there any members of the board who have a comment or question at this time?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right. Attorney Polidoro, if you want to.
Yes, hi everyone. At the last meeting, we did open the hearing, but we were waiting on some information from Dutchess County Planning and Development. We're required to wait on that information. We did just receive a response letter. It's hot off the presses. They had a lot of comments on the layout, so the board should take a few moments tonight and look at the comments, and the applicant should respond to them, whether tonight during the meeting or at some point. We also received a letter from Don Anderson, which was in response to the comments from the fire company. And in conclusion, Don thought that the applicant had complied with the requirements of the fire law and or would through project design.
Okay.
What else? Oh, we have a draft resolution prepared if you are ready to act tonight. We'll have to do some fill-in on the fly because the resolution was drafted before all these last-minute letters came in, so we would have to take a few minutes to fix that up. Reminder that there will be a rec fee for each new unit as well.
Right. Okay.
Just for clarification, when you refer to each unit, is that for each individual unit? Because the last time we had done this project, it was for each residential structure.
No, it was not for the residential structures. Last time, we took there were some existing units on the property, and so we took the net increase.
I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. I'm pretty sure I can pull the past resolution on it, but I'm fairly certain it said for 2 units. And that was it. It was for the 2 residential structures that we had towards the rear of the building.
And how many units were proposed last time? 8, right?
Units.
The original proposal, 8.
Yeah.
And there were 6 existing.
There was originally 6
Those are
units,
two
right?
Delta.
So it was the net change.
Right. It wasn't for each building, it was for each
Is
additional
for
unit.
each additional unit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're at 9, if I'm understanding correctly.
11?
No, wait, you're at 17 now?
17.
So then 11.
What?
11. This is just a nitpicky comment, but you only submitted 3 sheets, and so it's hard for me and other people when we're trying to figure out what actually constitutes the plan set. I went back, and it looks like the elevations were submitted sometime in July, and then some of the other sheets in August, and then these new sheets in September. And so it's more helpful if you can submit a full set, because then we can keep track of every page that's part of the plan.
Right. The only reason I don't do that is because I don't want to waste paper for plans that don't get changed. By the end, the planning board gets a full set that's signed and reviewed, so they'll have one for their records.
Right, but when it comes time, when the board's getting close to a vote, it's good to have a full set so they know what they're voting on.
Okay.
It can get, you understand, it can get confusing as
No,
to,
I
wait, is this the
completely
original, this is the
understand.
amended?
Yeah, again, just a paper concern on my part.
Understand.
Even if you only reprint the paper but give us a digital full set,
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect.
something so we can sort out what the full set is. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Paul. Planner Werner?
I got one. I'm good. Yeah, so for those 3 sheets that Victoria mentioned, those included the changes that we had in our memo requested a couple meetings back. And I did take a look at those quickly, and it looks like those were addressed to my satisfaction. So I don't have any additional comments from previous comment memos issued by AKRF. So the negative declaration that was drafted for the last meeting was resent with a new date. Want to consider that tonight. I did look at the resolution and had some comments for Victoria that I think she incorporated into it. But then this is all before we got the county letter.
Sure.
So maybe it makes sense to pull that up and we can talk through those with the applicant. My understanding is a different reviewer, because we had a comment letter from the county for the last version of this project. And a lot of things that were mentioned in this letter were not mentioned then. So,
This is Planner Gurnett for the county?
It's there. It's on the
I believe
computer.
so.
Okay.
Last time was probably Brad Barkley.
This was Clayton Gurnett, and the last one was Brad, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
Yeah, like I said, it just came in, so I just didn't know if it was in
yeah,
full
I'm
yet.
reading it right now.
Oh,
I was
no,
reading it
it's-
before.
no,
we
everything
started.
that's
Oh,
why I
thank
came in
you.
early tonight.
Thank you. Okay, and you had also, no, I lost it. Okay. Right, discuss fire company letter,
Yep. As
Discuss
Victoria
the-
mentioned.
yeah, the county letter, discuss outstanding site plan comments, okay. All right. Thank you, Planner Werner. Engineer Berger?
Yeah, there's really no significant changes for the site grading. I agree with Don's review of the fire company letter, that the plans are consistent with the requirements. One thing that I do need submitted for, and I recommend as a condition of approval, is the final SWIP, which is stormwater plan. The one that was there before is fine, but because there are changes to the plan, The plans look good. We just need to have a complete record check on that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Berger. All right, so we have a few things to discuss. We also have to continue the public hearing. I would think it would make the most sense to discuss the things we need to discuss, then continue the public hearing in case anybody from the public wants to comment on what we just discussed. Without objection? That makes sense? Okay. All right, so let's go with,
It's the one that's highlighted. You're looking for the
yes, thank you.
Dutchess County?
Yep. Okay, so this is what we got from the county. Okay, so they said it was a local concern with comments. Okay. Usually we get these letters ahead of time. Is everybody going to read it themselves, or am I reading it out loud?
it ourselves.
All right, let's all take a couple minutes and look at these paragraphs.
Brian, it might be better to read it out loud since.
That's true.
Everybody
It'd be
can
tough
read
for
it.
anybody out there to see.
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, the county is giving their comments as part of their county planning responsibility. So the applicant is seeking site plan approval to construct a mixed-use development within the HM zoning district consisting of 17 residential units and 6,100 square feet of retail/office commercial space across 3 structures, which include various improvements relating to site circulation, parking facilities, stormwater, and wastewater management. Comments. While we find this the subject application to be a matter of local concern, we offer the following comments for the board's consideration. So for site layout, reversing the proposed location of buildings 2 and 3 and their associated parking facilities so that the residential buildings front the quote-unquote lawn area would be more desirable for potential residents, as this would increase their ease of access to the green space while also allowing for a more direct sidewalk connection to be made to Building 1 and its commercial uses. In addition, we also suggest that additional site amenities be considered. A variety of permanent/movable seating options within green spaces such as a pavilion, gazebo, or pergola for shaded seating areas, benches, picnic tables, etc. Additional planting areas within the green spaces such as native pollinator gardens or a potential community garden, quote-unquote community garden, area for residents. And options for bicycle parking, including bike racks, bike shelters, bike lockers. All right, let's pause there for the moment. When they're saying buildings 2 and 3, okay, so again, obviously building 1 is the one up front, buildings 2 and 3 in the back. Are they proposing that the
Swapping
parking
the-
go all on the south side of
They're
the
just
property and that the green
swapping
space?
the parking for the buildings, so replacing where the parking is with the buildings and putting the parking,
Oh, so putting the buildings up front and the parking in the back.
yeah,
But the lower lot or the upper lot?
Yeah, hold on. So, okay, we're talking about these buildings
yes,
and this lot.
I believe, yes.
And so you read it as the lot goes where the buildings are, the buildings go where the
Yeah,
lot is.
reversing the proposed location of buildings 2 and 3 and their associated parking facilities. The issue there
Okay,
is,
I see that.
there's a septic field,
You got 20-foot separation from the septic.
right,
Can't be done.
The building needs to be
20 feet away from the septic.
20 feet away from the septic.
Can't do that.
And while it would be 20 feet away from the septic, it wouldn't be 20 feet away from the space where you might have to, in the future, put the
Future, so
septic.
it's considered a septic.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
that is envisioned as like, kind of like a lawn area, right?
Yeah.
But it's
And
still
you
septic.
can't, again, and you can't garden on it,
So you can have the parking lot next to the septic area. You can't have the building next to
Yeah,
the
but you
septic.
can't put anything on top of it.
Anything on top of,
Has to stay grass. So
well, yeah.
you can't put a pavilion there, you can't put benches there.
Can't garden
Right.
it either.
Can't
But you're
put-
saying the septic
You
needs to be
can't put a
20 feet from the
pavilion on?
building?
The building has to be 20 feet away from the septic, yes.
Okay.
Wait, Joe, you can't put temporary benches and pavilions on a
People do.
On the
you're not
overflow
supposed to. You're not
area?
supposed to.
Wow.
And right there on your notes, it's going to say nothing shall be there. Because it's basically Trump. You don't want any structures on the house.
When we were going through the layout of this,
Sounds like our attorney might have to move her pergola.
we're doing the layout between the stormwater management, which is under the main parking lot, the existing septic and field, and the
Right.
new proposed. Like, that's the only spots where they can go to
Sure.
all separation distances. It's
Right.
not like we were only left with
Yeah,
kind of where they are. I mean,
Sure.
It would be nice to have buildings look forward and.
that's where it was originally proposed.
Yeah,
I mean, it was different, but it was
We had
essentially
explored
the
different
same.
layouts in the past when we were initially getting the approval, so
Right.
this is the one that worked.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
What about the bicycle parking? I mean, that's easily accommodated, right? A rack somewhere?
That's what it takes, yeah, I have no problem.
Add a rack or something into the layout.
You can put bicycle parking and wherever.
Let me just
I
finish
mean,
moving it. Yeah, but-
No, I just, wherever seems feasible, I mean, I
Right.
don't think we have to show it, I could just say that I'm gonna add, and we'll figure out what best suits the site.
Well, we could make it a condition that you put it on the plans and show us where it's gonna be.
Yeah, I have no problem,
Right.
yeah.
With the
doing-
concept, it's just,
Yeah.
you got to find a spot.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Probably for both areas, yeah.
For the residential and the commercial.
I mean, I remember in the past where we've made it so that someone had to like, this is where the garbage dumpster is going to go in order to approve the plan. So I don't know if it's the same sort of
Yeah, I
thing.
think
but-
for the, in order for the building inspector to enforce the site plan, it's got to be shown somewhere, otherwise he can't say you didn't do it.
Right. Okay.
We can add it to the plan when we send in the final set.
Okay. So additional planting areas within the green spaces. So, I mean, it seems like almost all the green spaces are dedicated to current or future septic
Or stormwater.
or stormwater.
What about the benches, though? You could probably put sitting benches past the sidewalk between the buildings, or,
Put a few benches at the end of that walk area.
Right.
Find you in that little area by the building. Like a circular area.
Maybe over here.
Like right in there.
Yeah, there or.
I mean, I was just thinking about, again, about the bike, people might be more comfortable putting their bikes outside if it's really up against, near the buildings than like somewhere out here.
Yep.
Couple benches in the courtyard.
My only concern off the top of my head with that is, since the buildings are facing each other, you have windows there.
Right.
People hanging out in front of your house, where you're staying,
Mm-hmm.
would be my only concern, not that I'm against it. It's just, the buildings aren't that far apart to begin with,
We see that.
So to put something there, because at first I was like, I could put a gazebo there or something, but
Right.
having people right outside my window might be a
Sure.
little.
But given the site restrictions, I mean, this is going to be outside someone's window, this is going to be outside someone's window.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I think when you live in a multifamily residence, you come with the expectation that there's gonna be
No, I just-
other people.
Okay.
Some benches, I'll put some benches.
Something
No
to
Add
problem.
a couple of benches.
be
No
figured
problem.
out.
Put some benches in.
Okay. All right, anything further on site layout? All right, the county continues. Sidewalk connections, the board should ensure that drop curbs are placed at appropriate locations within the site so that the sidewalk system is accessible to individuals using wheelchairs and strollers. While they are currently shown at the crosswalk from the residential parking lot to the residential stairwell in Building 1, they should also be included on the sidewalk leading to Buildings 2 and 3 in the rear. So again, they don't mean the rear of Buildings 2 and 3, they just mean the rear of the
Right.
parcel. Okay.
Isn't there a ramp?
Well, yeah, we're calling that out.
So again, this is the sidewalk, right? That's the, okay.
In both these buildings, the first
Proposed
floor
curb cut.
Oh, so they want a ramp at the edge of the sidewalk so people can get off of it.
There, wrap here.
Yeah, it shows it.
Yeah, so we have ramp curb cuts here, here, here. This has one. This one has one too.
And the first floor of each building in the back is ADA accessible. So there's no steps, it's all a ramp coming up.
Thing in the center.
Right.
the ramp, so-
Yeah, it says ramp there.
Yeah.
Even entering the building. it's
Sidewalk.
all Ramped, even entering in.
So the path from the end of that sidewalk is basically across the parking lot, then in front of the cars,
Yep.
up that ramp, right?
Yes.
Right.
That's proper.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So we would say that one. We would as that's already addressed on this.
ADA doesn't require the
so.
crosswalk painting.
Mm-hmm.
No requirement under ADA to provide a crosswalk paint there, as long as the path is accessible.
Gotcha.
Okay. Street trees. Earlier this year, the Dutchess County Transportation Council conducted a study within this area which analyzed current streetscape conditions and the resulting pedestrian plan, noted the lack of pedestrian amenities along Route 22. Planting street trees along Route 22 frontage was included among the plan recommendations as it is an excellent way to create identifiable gateway areas to hamlets / town centers that can also help reinforce slower speed limits. And they have a link to a pedestrian plan. All right, let's.
You're right up on the right of way, aren't
Site distance might be an issue, but
you?
Yeah, that could potentially be a site distance issue, right?
but we do.
Who's responsible for the maintenance of these said trees?
Well, Tom, you are. No.
Is it the county?
Nailed it.
State? You know, we see all these dead trees alongside the road,
Right.
Didn't go up that far.
you know.
I was on the committee.
Oh, no. Okay. All right, so our concern back might be that there could be a potentially site distance issue. Engineer Berger?
Really adequate room within the site either.
They're meeting the requirement of the parking lot having landscaping
Right.
per your zoning code. But your zoning
Oh, man,
code.
this is a tree, that's a tree, right?
Oh, no, we
There's
have
a
a
separate
planting
landscaping-
plan.
There's a
that-
separate
Yeah, we're
landscape
doing,
sheet.
Yeah, we have some very low shrubs. We have some bioretention plantings up front.
Yeah, which sheet would that be?
You have to go.
That would be sheet 4, and this is an argument why we should include a whole
You have
set.
to go to a different
Yes.
submission.
Oh.
There it is. All right, guys, rub my face in it.
There we go.
It would be that, yeah, that one.
Back in September?
Yes.
Yeah,
You
go back one more.
think it's back in August?
It's on the
Oh, it's the
resolution.
bottom.
The original.
Yeah, it would,
Oh, no. Which one?
Nope.
no, they're right. It would be in the August submission that we
Yeah, it would be
reviewed
the
in the
original.
September meeting. Yes, there it is.
There you
Number
go.
2.
This one?
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
So it's sheet 4.
Next hand. There they are.
So they complied with 14538A4C of your code, which says parking lots containing fewer than 40 spaces shall provide at least one 3-inch minimum caliper shade tree per 8 spaces.
You got 3 up front toward the road too. where
Yeah.
you can't put 'em in places where they're lit.
So there's,
Two there, one there.
so we've got some street trees in theory.
One there too.
I don't know if they looked at the
Bioretention area right here.
Bushes there, right?
full- They might not have looked at all the sheets.
Gray owl juniper.
Or receive them.
They might not have sheet 4.
Well, they didn't have the lighting plan, so they might not have sheet 4 either.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a bunch of bushes right on the right of way line there, so that's good. That's what DOT would allow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it seems like you are addressing this despite the county not being aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep that up.
What?
The
More?
last one was light.
The next one's lighting.
lighting.
All right, hold on.
Sheet 5.
Oh, there was more about street trees. About I think we're fine. All right, lighting. Detailed lighting sheets were not provided. So, sorry.
I mean, I would
Yeah, I definitely don't think they got the sheets.
Yeah.
I would ask the board if, given that it's the Hamlet district, if that's the right light pole for the area. I don't know if you have special standards for light poles in the district, but something for you to think about.
I mean, it's a modern-looking light. It's we don't have it's not as though Door Plains has like historic lamps or something.
Okay.
Right. You know? Does any members of the board feel this would be out of character?
Not from the looks of it.
Okay. And as expected, the department recommends that the board rely upon its own study of the facts in the case with due consideration of the above comments. Okay. All right, so there's that. All right, the fire company letter we had already received prior to the last meeting. And so really it was the new thing is just the response from our Mr. Anderson, our building inspector, code enforcement officer, fire official. So
That's
see
it.
your response. There we go. Okay, so we are in receipt of the J.H. Ketchum Hose Company recommendations for the proposed project. Of the 9 points in the fire raised, we concur with all the points except number 7 and 8. Starting point 7, the applicant's engineer will quantify if the water supply is ample to supply sprinkler requirements and furnish plans and calculations to the building department. If it is determined that the water supply is not enough to provide adequate suppression, the building department will require the applicant to provide additional design criteria to meet 13R. And then concerning point 8, although it is understood firefighting equipment is very costly, it is not a requirement for the applicant. All right, so let's go to what does 7 and 8 say? To date, the Lower Plains Water Company provides a 4-inch water line to this area for potable water and firefighting purposes. The amount of water needed for supplying potable water / firefighting for this area should be calculated to determine if the 4-inch water line is sufficient. It is our recommendation that the water line be increased from 4 inches to 8 inches from the corner of Mill Street to the proposed project area, and the fire hydrant be reinstalled where one once existed. Okay, and then number 8 is about gear. All right. Does your site plan include a fire hydrant?
We do not have fire hydrants. What we have is the sprinkler system inside the buildings instead.
Okay.
Is what's required by 13R.
Sure. I'm just trying to think where the nearest fire hydrant is.
I think it's down by Fresco.
Let's see.
Is it still there? The old hydrant?
I'm pretty sure it's still there.
No, I don't think it was ever taken down.
Are you providing sprinkler connections in the buildings?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember we had a piece of apparatus out in front of Fresco 22 when we fought that fire. But yeah, that's it. There's nothing north of there.
The same thing. SWIP is the acronym for Stormwater Management Plan.
Oh, this is not about what we're discussing. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so back to the letter. So the applicant's engineer will quantify if the water supply is ample to supply sprinkler requirements and furnish plans and calculations to the building department.
Correct.
Which is typically required for a building permit.
Right.
And as part of the health department too, they're going to be providing those calculations.
Calculated fire protection is
Dover Water.
currently engineering.
Dover Water.
You're doing the testing and
Right,
figuring out.
but is it required for our approval if it comes back and says, hey, you need a larger water main to...
If they have to come in and put in like big tanks, holding tanks.
Right.
Then yes, I think they need to come back for planning board approval.
Not for,
Tanks would be in the
Amendment.
building.
not for piping upgrade. That's part of the building permit and plumbing permit.
But if they were
They go
putting
from 4 to
in,
8.
The tanks
Storage-
would be- the tanks
Regardless,
would
we're
go inside
putting
the
them
building.
in the building
Oh,
foundation.
They go inside the
Tanks.
building with pumps. That's kind of what they're telling me
We're,
is,
we're talking about if you had to put a 30,000 gallon tank, you'd have to come back to the site,
yeah.
site plan.
Right.
We're not talking about a 400 gallon tank.
Yeah, like, right, if it had to be like a,
400 gallon tank is a plumbing permit.
right,
A 30,000 gallon tank is site plan.
yeah, no.
sure.
But just the conversation I had with the sprinkler company said that's the two, whether we have to do a fire pump with a tank in the building, in each building, or the water main is sufficient and we can just forego that and just do backflow standards.
True.
But they're the engineers, so they'll.
That's your decision to make when you do your plumbing plan for the building department.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
entire plumbing plan hasn't been designed yet inside the building.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. We don't, this does not have to do anything with this.
No, I don't believe
All
it.
right.
As Donna said, that would be something that comes to them during the plumbing plan and approved.
Engineer Berger, I maybe don't really know the answer to this. What is the added expense of having a fire hydrant placed? If
Well,
there's already an existing water main there and
The
they have
fire
to-
hydrant would require an 8-inch line. That's the difference between
Okay.
adding close to 80,000.
What you're saying is there's then should be a 8-inch line to the fire hydrant that's at the
If you
end
put-
of Mill Street.
If you have a hydrant on the site, if you're adding a hydrant to the site, you should have an 8-inch line going to it to provide the flow.
And from my conversation with Dover Water Company, it's a 6-inch line feeding that fire hydrant, which transitions into a 4-inch line to our site.
But is that a fire hydrant or a flushing hydrant?
I'm not sure.
Typically, that probably is a flushing hydrant.
Well,
Okay.
it might be it could be that
Well, I know
the
they
system was put
connected
in
to it.
decades ago, and so
Oh, yeah,
6
that's true,
inches
too.
might have been fine
It could be just an old
decades
one,
ago.
yeah, true,
Yeah.
true.
Might be that the current standard is 8 inches, but
Yeah, that's true. It may still be, it may provide the 500 gallons a minute minimum too, even with the 4-inch, just that you couldn't do that today in today's standard.
right.
Correct.
Okay.
Now you brought up costs as far as adding a hydrant or doing something. Yeah, the water main is under 22,
Right.
so just the DOT requirement, just for us to cut open, to do the wet tap,
Sure.
is quite massive.
Sure.
To run it all the way back, you know,
About 80 to 100 grand somewhere in there, depending if you do a boring or not.
I'm almost 80 grand just getting the water to the prop. If I cut up.
Well, you could do a boring under it.
But if we had to go back
I mean,
to,
there should be a pre-existing water line that.
it's way too. small.
Yeah, there's an existing.
Oh,
water.
but right, because it only had that
1 inch. it has a
retail
1 inch
space
there.
and the
Yeah.
6 units, not 17. Sure.
So you're boring already to put the 4-inch in, or you're
Yes.
open cutting probably,
As of right now, the plan is to bring a 4 inch main to that side of the street.
with open cut or boring.
Both, you gotta do both, because it's under the northbound lane, so we have to cut open the road regardless to do the tap,
Okay,
so,
so it's a partial cut, partial boring.
exactly. That's lies the cost.
Sure.
Once you're cutting 22, it's
Right.
a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, but the incremental increase from 4 to 8 wouldn't be that much more because you're doing it already, but it's still a cost.
But the 8, well,
inches
whether it's
across.
8 or
By fresh-
whether it's 8 or 6, it'd have to go back all the way down to
Yeah.
Fresco.
It's
is
the
what he's
length of the
saying.
line that makes
Right.
it, that you're adding all that extra ductile iron pipe.
Well,
You're
the
saying
cut,
you-
like all the
You're
DOT
saying you
work-
need to cut open 15 feet of 22, but if you put in a line, you'd have to cut open 500 feet or
hundreds.
whatever.
Yeah, it's across dirt and the lawn, it's one thing,
Sure.
that's just going across the road,
Right.
you know, the cut alone thing.
Remember Volano?
Isn't the water supply south of the property though?
Yeah, but I think
What does it do? Come up and make a U-turn and come back?
No,
Because why
I
is he
believe
saying
it.
from Mill Street? Because that's beyond the project coming
Yeah,
back.
Mill Street.
no, but it
Right. Mill Street's not far away from the project.
Yeah.
Fresco
Oh, Mill,
22 is
okay, I got my place backwards. Sorry, I got it. I had it backwards in my head.
Sorry, I added my show subtracted.
So, yeah, my I mean, I didn't think it was under the north. I thought it was under the sidewalk, not under the northbound lane. But
So it's a surprise to me too.
yeah, but regardless, you have to cross 22 to get water to the west side of
Yes.
22.
It's a significant cost, yeah.
Yeah, it's just to get the water to the property.
Sure. Okay. Volano, anything?
No, I'm good. That was it.
All right. Does anybody else have anything else on this? Fire company letter response from our building inspector. Okay. Let's see. So that. So planner Warner, discuss outstanding site plan comments.
Yeah, I mentioned that
Yes.
when I started off, that they were minor, showing utility lines, a location of a monument sign, and
Zoning districts.
the zoning district on the cover sheet,
On the, okay.
showing the extent of the zoning districts around the site, which are just part of your zoning code site plan requirements, on checking off boxes.
Right.
So they've addressed those.
Okay. All right.
So I think I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right, so before we go to the public hearing, do any of our consultants have any other comments or questions at this time? No? Okay, and do any of our planning board members have any other comments or questions at this time?
Nope.
All right, please have a seat. So need a motion to continue this public hearing for 3185 Route 22 MCC Apartments. Motion to continue made by member Holmes, seconded by member Sador. All those in favor of continuing this public hearing, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Okay. This public hearing is now continued. Is anyone signed up?
I don't think so.
Engineer Berger, if you could, thank you.
That's the wrong one, yeah.
Nobody on this one.
No one signed up.
Okay, no one has signed up. Are there any members of the public who'd like to speak with regard to 3185 Route 22 MCC Apartments? Please come to the podium at this time. Okay. Seeing no one approaching the podium.
Do you want to discuss the written comment you received?
Yes, we did receive a written comment. All right, so every member received this in their email, along with the secretary and consultants, but we all received it a little over an hour ago, so it's unlikely anybody saw it, and it's probably not included then.
No, it's not.
Okay. All right.
That could probably be read at the next meeting.
Well, I guess that's the next question is, what's the action that the planning board would like to take this evening? Because if we close the public hearing, then this isn't being read. If we continue the public hearing, then it is, but are we continuing the public hearing? I mean, no one showed up tonight.
I'm sorry, what's the reason why it wouldn't be accepted?
Oh, we just received it. But someone could have just showed up and read it. So.
Right, I think if you got it before the meeting, it's still part of the public hearing record.
That's fine with me. I could read it into the record now. I just can't project it on the screen since we don't have it there. But dear members of the planning board, I guess for Attorney Polidoro, could you forward this to the
I could, yeah.
or someone
Yeah.
forward to the applicant, their consultant, so they have it. Dear members of the planning board, I'm writing to express my concerns regarding the proposed mixed-use development
I think I have it open.
project at 3185 Route 22, specifically in relation to its conformity with the historic character of our beloved hamlet. I urge the planning board to prioritize the preservation of our hamlet's historic feel, both in terms of appearance and building materials throughout the plan and execution of this project in accordance with our recently updated comprehensive plan. One of the main issues I would like to address is the lack of clarity in the project renderings. As far as I'm aware, there has been no detailed discussion regarding the materials to be used, such as windows, siding, roof, gutters, signage, and landscaping, etc. This lack of specificity raises concerns about the potential deviation from the historic aesthetic that defines our hamlet. Preserving the unique character of our town is crucial to maintaining the sense of community and pride that residents, including myself, hold dear. Moreover, I firmly believe that the stretch along Route 22, where the proposed development is situated, is the closest semblance we have to a downtown area. Therefore, it is of utmost importance that any new construction in this area enhances the streetscape rather than detracts from it. Recent projects on the other side of Route 22 and the number of gas stations on our main street are unfortunately eyesores, marring the visual appeal of our town. We cannot afford to repeat these mistakes. I kindly request that the planning board, acting as the architectural review board, ensures the following points are thoroughly addressed in the planning, execution, and monitoring of the project. and there are 3 points. Historical conformity. The new development should be in harmony with the historical architecture of the hamlet. Attention to architectural details such as facades, windows, scale, roof lines, roofing materials, signage, and landscaping should be paramount to preserve the town's historical charm. Transparency, clear and detailed discussions about the materials to be used, including but not limited to windows, sidings, roofing, gutters, and any other visual elements should take place. Transparent communication with the community is essential to build trust and ensuring everyone's concerns are addressed. And streetscape enhancement, the project should be designed in a way that enhances the streetscape, creating a welcoming environment for residents and visitors alike. Thoughtful landscaping, lighting, and pedestrian-friendly elements should be incorporated into the plan. I'm confident that the Dover Planning Board shares my commitment to maintaining the historical integrity of our town. By adhering to these principles, we can ensure that the mixed-use development at 3185 Route 22 becomes a proud addition to our community, reflecting the values and aesthetics and guiding future development. I would also advocate for more quote-unquote family-sized apartments, which are needed in our town. This project appears to be predominantly smaller units. Another point, and I'm not sure if this was addressed, but what is the need for 3 buildings versus 2? I do understand that this is what was previously approved, but it seems like too much density for this site. Alternative, what about changing the orientation of the 2 rear buildings by turning them 90 degrees with parking in the middle? Parking would be less visible from 22 and would see 1 building instead of 2. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I appreciate your dedication to preserving the heritage and beauty of our town, and I trust that you will take these concerns into serious consideration during your deliberations. Thank you, Aaron Simpson. Okay. So, there's that letter. You can have that back. Sorry. And no one else has approached the podium. And so we are back to where we were a few minutes ago. Do we continue the public hearing? Do we close this public hearing? And then also, just what the letter brings up, I guess we'll ask the applicant to direct us to like a visual rendering of
The July submission.
that would be in the July submission.
Yeah, I could,
Architectural elevations that were pretty similar to the 2020 version.
and they all have building materials and colors called out on them.
Yeah.
Also to note, the historic buildings in that area are a Greek restaurant, styled as a Greek restaurant to the north and a funeral home to the south. So I think we are,
Which looks like a funeral home?
which looks like a funeral home. So I would say we are in compliance.
And I'll add that one of the things I usually do when we get an application is I take a look at SHPO's directory and see if there's any historic listed eligible buildings on or adjacent to the site, because obviously that matters for context. So, and this one didn't have that situation, so just want to point that out.
All right, so this is the residential building. Okay. You can see the list of materials here for the siding, metal roofing, stone veneer, porch structure, and decorative columns.
This refers to the stone veneer being natural stone veneer on restaurant, but there is no restaurant at this point, correct?
Correct. It means a commercial building.
But would it still be stone veneer?
Correct.
Okay.
And there is color information too, right, in that list?
Yep.
Okay, so your windows won't be shaded blue. That's what you're.
Reflected. They all have mirrors.
Okay.
I don't know if there were.
All right, and the buildings are essentially identical except for the slight elevation change from one side to the other. Okay.
Correct.
All right, so there's that. And for this building, you're going for a black and white aesthetic a la 1940s or?
We gotta stay historical.
Okay,
it's
so this
all
is the
black and
south
white.
elevation and the east elevation. Okay, so this is facing Route 22.
And that's facing the parking lot.
This is facing the parking lot.
Yeah.
This is facing Route 22.
Yes.
Okay. This is facing the
Four Brothers.
Greek restaurant.
Yep.
And then this is what the people in the apartments would see,
Mm-hmm. Back house.
essentially. Okay.
Is there a materials list on these?
Wait.
I'm not sure.
On this drawing, probably not. We do the basic design of this building, just to get the planning board, since it's the next phase, so.
Okay. All right.
I mean, just for the board, if on those commercial structure elevations, if there's no material identified, it could look different than what the drawing shows. Like that could, you know, the bottom could be aluminum.
Presumably it's brick. But it could be aluminum brick.
It could be anything.
Sure. All right, so a list of the materials similar to what the residential buildings have could be added, provided
Yeah,
in your comprehensive submission that you.
yeah, we could send that in also
Okay.
final approval.
Okay. All right. Anything further we think we need to examine, address here? We did look at the landscaping earlier.
Yeah, I think, sorry, the streetscape enhancements, I mean, we did a lot of work on this, even back in 2020 with adding that sidewalk in. That was an addition that we all talked about adding in.
Right.
You know,
The
'cause there
Inkberries
wasn't-
up front too, we're all added into.
Yeah, so there wasn't a connection between the residential and this 22 that was like clear. It was, so we added
Right.
the sidewalk in,
Yeah.
a safe pathway to get there.
I do feel that this does have to be treated like a new submission, but I do feel like we didn't have some of the conversations this time that we had last time because they were the exact same conversations as last time, right? I mean, is that kind of everybody's feeling like? Okay. We had to treat it as a new submission just because of how much time had gone by, but, okay. All right. Anything further here? All right. Seeing that we received this one letter, and no one came this evening to speak at this public hearing, I'm happy to entertain a motion to close this public hearing. Motion made by
So moved.
Member Sador, seconded by
Second.
Member Helms. Discussion on closing the public hearing. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of closing public hearing say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed would say no. Okay, this public hearing is now closed by a vote of 6-0 with one absence. All right, so then, do we agree that there's, you have to, I think, kind of package this all together, and here is the total final document?
Well, I was hoping that this could all be submitted for your final signature on the document, being that nothing's really changing from here on out.
I mean, there are some minor changes.
I'm thinking we can make those conditions of approval.
So we could make them conditions of approval.
How fast can you type?
I just sent you an updated draft resolution. The only, keep in mind, one pitfall of doing it that way is one of the conditions would be submission of a materials list. But once they submit it, it's met, even if the materials.
Right, it's all concrete,
Right.
or whatever.
So, I added the 2 bike racks and I added the 2 benches in a location to be approved by the planner and engineer. So
Well, I
I
would
just
say
emailed it
based
to
on the
Marilyn. Are you
backfill,
able to save it?
I would-
into
The same
the
material list
system?
almost carries forward.
I would say, I would assume that
I
the
just
architect
emailed
wants
you.
the buildings to complement each other, so they would be somewhat similar, but I'm not,
Right now?
he's not here to,
We
or
can
she's not
update
here
it.
to.
Can you make a provision that says,
Just now?
per your final
Can you save it
approval on
into the
that?
file?
For my final approval?
Or the board's?
Not
For
a-
the architectural
Yeah,
planning
but,
board's
so that would,
acting
we'd still
as-
have to meet on the 20th then, I mean, that's what I'm getting at, like,
Well, our intention is to try to get this, that the resolution is voted on tonight, and that us addressing these final comments are conditional of that approval.
okay, but I guess you can't do anything until you've done everything. So even if we gave an approval with a bunch of conditions tonight, I don't know that, I think, I get where, the next meeting's on the November 20th. I don't know that you're truly delayed if we say, hey, everything is in by November 1st and it's voted on November 20th, and you can start November 21st, versus here's all this stuff, and then the consultants have to go back and forth with you, and then, I don't know, Ryan, is this what they said? Like, I mean, I just think it's going to still be around November 20th, so.
I mean, personally, we would like to walk away with the approval tonight, just so we can finish up these more clerical issues and then move forward with submitting you final plans for signature. Because then we can't work on getting those final conditions
One
addressed.
sec.
Yeah, sorry.
This is an updated
Yes, resolution.
resolution.
Thank you. Go ahead. What was that?
Right. So what we want to just be able to do is have the resolution in hand, which is the approval of the project, and then be able to just make these minor adjustments on the plans and specifications, put them on the plan, and then submit them to you for final signature. It saves us an extra meeting of that we can work on these final conditions.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. The concern could be, on your end, if you miss something and then it comes in and then, no, I'm not signing this because that's not what was agreed to, and then you've missed the deadline for the November 20th meeting, we're now in December, and you don't have an approval yet. So, but this is a democracy. What does the rest of the planning board think?
I think we wait.
Okay.
I'm okay either way.
Okay,
I think we should wait.
okay.
Till we have that material list.
All right. So, public hearing's closed. I think we've given quite a lot of deference reading in the letter we just received from the county tonight, which is probably not typical from our past behavior, and also the one public comment being read in tonight. So it wasn't, say, hey, we just got this, we're going to wait another meeting. So I think we've given a lot of deference to you getting everything you want. So we're going to then, well, I guess we're going to do nothing. I mean, you just have, you have a deadline of November 1st to have a complete package submission,
Okay.
and we'll see you on November 20th.
You want to do seeker tonight and get that portion
Sure.
out of the way?
That'd be a good idea. Yeah.
Okay,
Last reading.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
It's going to be a busy meeting, I think.
Well, you can get your health department done anyways. The secret.
Yep.
The secret doesn't even go to health department.
Yeah. They won't even let us look at it.
Yeah, so
Folder would that be in?
it wouldn't be the resolution that Victoria prepared, it would be
This
the,
negative declaration?
yes, and then the part 2 and 3 EAF.
Excuse me. Do you mind if I just interrupt real quick? The applicant was just talking to me about
Yeah.
copy and pasting the material list from the residential buildings in the rear to the commercial building. And that our submission could say, if it doesn't meet the same materials listed up for the residential structures, then you won't sign it.
Okay. Look,
Just throwing it out there.
sure. I think you got to read the room. Okay. Also, I think you need to. I'll talk with you later, but never mind, because it'll just cause a problem. So, all right, we have this negative declaration.
The one dated today? Yes. Okay. So this is a pretty, it's got the project description is the lengthiest part. The rest of it is just the 12 criteria that seeker requires you look at
Okay.
with brief statements about the project not having significant adverse impacts.
And then we also have this part 2 and this
The part
three.
2 checklist and the part 3 just refers to this standalone neg deck because you can't fit all that stuff in the box that they give you in part
Sure.
3.
Okay. Okay, the description of action, okay, I think this is, we've basically read this to death. I think we all know what the description of the action is.
Sure.
We know the location. All right, so reasons supporting this determination, a negative declaration. The below findings of the lead agency are based on the review of the short environmental assessment form, Part 1, and the site plan/secret narrative prepared by the applicant and dated July 19, 2023. The project will not result in any significant impacts from, quote, a substantial adverse change in existing air quality, ground or surface water quality or quantity, traffic or noise levels, a substantial increase in solid waste production, a substantial increase in potential for erosion, flooding, leaching, or drainage problems. That's all under 617.7 C1I. The applicant proposes to redevelop a site with a previous history of mixed use, as in commercial and residential. The proposed project presents modest increments in commercial floor area and residential density. The current proposal is not expected to substantially increase traffic to or from the site when compared to the former use, which was active prior to being destroyed by a fire in 2018. Project will not result in any significant impacts from, quote, the removal or destruction of large quantities of vegetation or fauna, substantial interference with the movement of any resident or migratory fish or wildlife species, impacts on a significant habitat area, substantial adverse impacts on a threatened or endangered species of animal or plant, or the habitat of such a species, or other significant adverse impacts to natural resources. That's C1II. The project site, which is located in the Dover Plains Hamlet, does not contain potential habitat for threatened or endangered species, including the timber rattlesnake, which is locally known to be occasionally found in the mountain areas greater than 1 mile south and west of the project site. The project site has undergone various stages of disturbance, previously supporting the above-mentioned mixed-use structure, a former single-family residence, and a small gravel mining operation. There are no rock outcroppings or dense forest areas on the site that would offer suitable habitat for the timber rattlesnake. The proposed project will not result in, quote, the impairment of the environmental characteristics of a critical environmental area as designated pursuant to subdivision 617.14, subsection G of this part. That's number 3. The project site is not located within a critical environmental area. The proposed project will not result in, quote, the creation of a material conflict with a community's current plans or goals as officially approved or adopted. Okay, that's 4. The proposed project would continue a trend of mixed-use commercial and residential activity on the project site following review of the site plan and architectural materials by the planning board, as well as certain provisions of the town's zoning law by the code enforcement officer. No material conflicts with currently adopted plans and goals were identified. The proposed project will not result in, quote, the impairment of the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources or of existing community or neighborhood character. That's number 5. The proposed project would not, excuse me. The proposed project would have no limits, excuse me. The proposed project would have no impacts on historic or aesthetic resources. As noted above, the applicant proposes to redevelop a site with previous history of mixed use. The proposed project is consistent with the town zoning law for this area of the town and would not impair the character of the neighborhood. The proposed project will not result in, quote, a major change in the use of either the quantity or type of energy, which is number 6, nor will it result in the creation, quote, the creation of a human, the creation of a hazard to human health. That's number 7. The proposed project will not result in, quote, a substantial change in the use or intensity of use of land, including agricultural, open space, or recreational resources, or in its capacity to support existing uses, which is number 8. The proposed project will not result in, quote, the encouraging or attracting of a large number of people to a place or places for more than a few days compared to the number of people who would come to such place absent the action. That's number 9. As noted above, the proposed project would continue a trend of mixed-use commercial and residential activity on the project site, which is along a major thoroughfare, Route 22, with adequate capacity to support this use. The proposed project's additional 9 residential units, when compared to the previously approved site plan is not expected to substantially increase traffic to or from the site when compared to the pre-2018 use and the site plan previously approved in 2020. Proposed commercial uses would operate in a similar manner as the pre-2018 use in terms of hours of operation. Adequate parking is being provided. Project will not result in, quote, the creation of a material demand for other actions that would result in one of the above consequences, which is number 10. Project will not result in, quote, changes in two or more elements of the environment, nor one of which has a significant impact on the environment, but when considered together result in a substantially adverse impact on the environment, which is number 11. That's a negative declaration. Okay, part 2 has no or small impact may occur for 1 through 11. And part 3, determination of significance. For every question in part 2 that was answered, quote, moderate to large impact may occur, or if there is a need to explain why a particular element or the proposed action may or will not result in a significant adverse environmental impact. These could be part 3. Again, nothing was moderate or large impact, so there's no part 3. Okay, and we are checking the box. Check this box to be determined based on the information analysis above and any supporting documentation that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. All right. Any questions on this negative declaration?
None.
Okay,
We'll have to do it by motion,
that's fine.
so
Yeah.
motion to adopt a negative declaration.
All right. So, need a motion to adopt a negative declaration for MCC 3185 Route 22.
So moved.
Motion made by Member Williams, seconded by Member Roman. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, that motion passes 6-0 with one absence. All right, one less thing to worry about. All right, and we'll
Sounds
see you next meeting.
Thank you, Chairman Cortine, members, consultants. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay. All right, next we have a public hearing for King Pet Services. First, we'll have a discussion, so please come to the podium. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
The letter that came in.
Yes,
Is that-
is here. Okay.
Gilligan?
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so any updates from you since our last
Yes.
meeting?
So I did receive, first of all, my name is Amor Duplessis with King Pet Services. I did receive earlier a letter regarding the noise reduction of of noises at the kennels. So I did draft up something how I'm addressing it, if my previous one wasn't clear enough for people to understand. But I'm open for any suggestions, or if someone's like, yeah, I still don't understand. I also printed out exactly the acoustic panels that I already have on the walls. That's already on there. The ceiling is already done with acoustic paneling, so that way, I live one door away from where the kennel is. So noise is also my concern, because noise is not just hearing it, but it's also the dog's stress level. I'm trying to run a business. I don't want stressed out dogs with clients and all of that. But with that said, I do have, I can submit it to whoever would like to look at it and have any questions about it. Do you want me to address the noise reduction of all the things that I have set up now, or wait until there's questions about it?
Oh, please.
Just go for it,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
Okay. So first of all, I live right at the kennel, so any nuisance, any barking, anything that's happening, I'm right there. I also do have ring cameras, so that in the event that I'm out walking one of the dogs and there's something happening noise-wise or anything at all, I can address it. First of all, these are dogs for clients. It's not rescue groups, it's not shelters, it's not warehouse dogs that stays there forever.
Right.
These are clients' dogs coming in. And anyone that drop off a dog, they want to see their dog happy, not stressed out. So physically, all the dogs are inside the kennel, so I do not have inside-outside kennels where there's a chute system where dogs freely can go out barking at the environment, barking at birds, barking at each other. Everything's inside the building itself, which obviously reduced the barking for outside dogs. The dogs are not tied outside, and they're also not left outside at all without a handler right with them. So all the dog, and the handler is me. I don't have any other employees, I don't have other person, it's just on me. So the acoustic panels are a high density, and that's why I actually printed out exactly explaining the high density that are on the walls and the ceilings, which obviously give soundproof the walls and absorb the sound. I also have absorption and dampening blankets, so that if I need to put it against the doors, if I do have a client's dog that's vocally louder than anybody else, that is already ready to go. I have doormats, rubber mats on the floor. I also have carpeting inside the kennels and wooden shelving, so that will also help with the sound absorption. The floors are thick epoxy, so that way things are not bouncing off of clear cement, clear floor. And then the kennel, that's the warehouse that I'm in, is actually also buffered by two separate buildings, in addition to two structures, greenhouses, and a dense tree line towards the closest neighbors in front of the warehouse.
To the
On
north, to the north?
Yeah, right, that's
You
to the
wanna-
north.
Pull out my memo, there's a
Oh.
little map in there
Yeah.
that might be helpful.
Yeah. So that's for those neighbors, right?
Page
And-
4.
Yeah, I'll just,
Just give us a second here.
You had to zoom in a little bit on it,
Yep.
too. So the circled building is the
Right.
site.
yeah, so these are the two buildings, these are the greenhouses, and here's a whole line of thick trees going on to these neighbors. Right here, there's a hill,
Mhm.
a fairly high hill, that also address these neighbors. Does not mean you can't hear anything, that's why in the kennel itself, I'm investing with all the panels and making everything thick enough so that if there is something, nobody is gonna be like, you know what, I just want peace and quiet.
I have a
I
question.
enjoy where I live for peace and quiet too.
And again,
So
I
the
believe we
floor
discussed
plan-
this last time. So this drawing is actually then, with respect to this picture, upside down.
Yeah.
That this corner of this rectangle is that corner of that rectangle.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
So do you have soundproofing on the garage door as well when it's closed?
That's what the dampering thick blankets are. So there's hooks on the garage door itself that
Okay.
actually covers that, because you can't put.
You won't be able to open it.
I'm sorry?
Because you won't be able to open the door if there was...
Yeah, but I'm not,
right.
like, I'm not gonna open them for dogs to bark at my neighbors to be, you know, so the garage door is closed, because I also have, like, AC inside and heat inside.
Yeah, no, I think
So-
the planner's point was if you had panels, you wouldn't be able to open the door. That's why you
Correct,
what I
have.
meant.
yes, you can't
So you have
open,
like deployable soundproofing that you can put over that
correct,
section of the...
correct. And that's for
Okay.
the garage door, the entry door, and also there's two windows in the warehouse that it will be right over it.
So how many windows are in the kennel space, two?
Two, yep.
Okay.
Yep. Now, I don't have a problem with also investing on purchasing, someone did recommend buffers or buffles
Baffles.
hanging from the ceiling. I ordered it, it's on its way, so that if the board do require that I also have to hang things from the ceiling to try and catch any sound that might be bouncing off from, I'm not sure exactly where, because I'm pretty much, you can yell in there now, and you don't, don't hear anything, but I don't have a problem. I already ordered it, so if it is something that I need to put in the warehouse, it's ready to go. If not, then I can just send it right back. Now, the other part is, so that's the physical part. All the dogs are inside the kennel, so we're not talking about in and out, dogs standing, seeing things happening. The other part is that I do have 20 years of working with dogs behaviorally and also kennels, and that's also with training, being in a shelter environment. I am certified in fear-free shelters, and what that pretty much means is to create an environment for dogs to keep it calm and relaxing. My kennel will also have cats, so I don't want to hear dogs barking. So what that the reason I bring that part up is that there's enrichment parts that you do with dogs. I have calming diffusers that's already in the kennel, and that's like pheromones for the dogs to help create a calming. I have dog music. There's actually such thing as dog music to create calmness. So when you do go in there, they have bones, frozen Kongs, food puzzles, and when I do walk them outside, because all the dogs will be on leash, you set out scent trails so that they can sniff certain things out, and that helps stimulate their brain so they're not these stressed out dogs just sitting there because their owners went away. I'm not, so that's the enrichment part on it. You know, I know it sounds a little bit that, we do yoga on Saturdays, you know, so
Sounds like there's a lot. Do you take kids also? Like, I mean, this might be...
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. If that's a yes, then absolutely. But I mean, that part is the part of why I'm not standing here saying I would like to open a 10-dog kennel
Right.
or a 20-dog kennel.
So just remind the planning board, maximum number of dogs is...
So I'm looking for 5
Right.
kennels in there, and that means 5 dogs.
Right. Okay.
I don't think I'll ever get up to 5. My problem is that if I have 2 clients that would like to book with me, and each one have 2 dogs,
Sure.
now I'm up to 4 already.
Right.
You know, so that's the reason why I'm asking for 5. I
Sure.
mean, it's, if the number is like, I think, to not have a special permit, a kennel is considered no more than 3 dogs. So I'm asking for 2 additional dogs in my kennel.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
if it's a no and people are really upset about the kennel thought of it, then I'll just go with 3 and say, okay, thank you, sorry for taking your time, because it's not, you know, but
Sure.
I do understand. I mean, tonight when I left, I like Dover for what you hear at night, you know? So
Right.
that also means my dogs, when they come to my kennel, I am part trainer, you know, I don't want dogs to be sitting there at 8 o'clock barking because they're stressed out.
Right.
You know, if you do see my kennel, like I wasn't sure if I should bring a picture of my kennel so that people can understand this is not your typical fenced up, dogs just sit there barking, nothing in there.
Right.
Like
Not
it's an
just
entertainment
sitting outside
center.
with a chain link fence or...
No,
None of
there's
that.
no way
Okay.
for, if the sound paneling and all of these that everybody's saying this is what you need to do for sound, everything's contained in there.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean a dog's not going to bark at night, but it means I'm right there. I'm going to
Sure.
go in there. I have a couch in there. I have, like, it's not your,
Right.
where, because I'll go sit, I sat in there.
Okay.
I slept in there. You know, but I can't guarantee that to the public. Like, no one's going to be like, yeah,
Sure.
you're really going to go sleep with it. But it is five kennels in the same area. It's
Okay.
not additional.
Right.
But, so that kind of also clears up what I'm asking for.
Okay.
You know, each kennel will have 1 dog. I'm not going to shove dogs
Sure.
into kennels.
Okay, so a maximum of 5 dogs.
Correct.
I believe the last time you were here, you said you'd only be outside with 1 dog at a time.
Correct. Or 2 if it's the same family.
If it's the same
You know,
family.
like it's,
Okay.
that's where I'm running into where my
Because they might
numbers-
be just accustomed to being together anyway.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's more because if I'm going to take one of the pair dogs, that dog's going to be upset that
Sure.
his buddy just left. So that's,
And do you have any anticipation as to, is this going to be a, like a doggy daycare kind of kennel where it's like people are going to be coming and going twice a day? Or is it going to be,
I
hey,
prefer
we're going on
not
vacation
to.
for a week?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So you see it more as someone comes on a Saturday, here's my dog, they come back the following Saturday, thank you for,
Correct.
I like my
Correct.
dog back.
That's what I'm not really into the daycare because I'm also not offering play groups.
Mm-hmm.
You know, play groups are where you have a fenced-in yard outside and all
Right.
the dogs get to run and bark and play with each other.
Sure.
You know, that's not.
So there could be weeks, could be a week, could be weeks where there's no dogs, because no one's
Correct.
going on
I mean,
vacation.
right now, my business is I've not it's kind of silly that I'm even asking for 5 because I'm running with like one families.
Sure.
You know, because that's just dog sitting. That's
Right.
not, you know, I'm legit.
Right.
I did that part,
Right.
but
Essentially, it sounds like you're going from being I don't mean to minimize anything, but like you're going from being a babysitter to a child care center, except it's dogs.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
So that's,
Okay. Any other members of the planning board have any questions at this time? No. Comments, questions? Okay. Attorney Polidoro?
So we have a public hearing tonight. We did hear back from county planning. It's a matter of local concern. The board has already classified it as type 2. So the board could approve the project tonight if it feels it has enough information and it's ready to move forward. Ryan and I guess, drafted a resolution, and there are some spots where there are highlights that we thought the board should talk through. I think we just received some of the information that would enable the board to fill in those blanks. So this would be like a workshop resolution.
Okay. Just clear a few things up here. Okay. So we'll go through the county letter shortly. Anything further?
No.
Planner Werner?
I have a follow-up memo from my last one that's really just focused on, we did a lot of work at the last meeting. We determined that, the square footage we had for the primary residence was incorrect. The applicant cleared that up. So technically what she's proposing, the 644 square feet, meets the requirement of, it falls within the thresholds of being allowed to have a home occupation special permit.
Threshold was
40% of the
40%,
floor area of the primary residence. It's falling below that. So, so comment number, it was a long one. It was number 4. It had a lot of possibilities in it in the italicized text, but the bold text at the bottom is the summary of where we ended up, which was.
all right. So number 4. Okay. So then.
Yeah. If you go to the end of it.
Okay. So the bold.
Yes.
Text. Okay.
So a lot of this was talked about. It was cleared up that the applicant lives there, so technically is a home occupation situation. We're using 1,839 square feet instead of the original 1,215, which wasn't correct. So the proposed square footage is 644. It doesn't exceed 40% of the primary residence or 2,000 square feet. So
A little more than 30%.
Yep. So the area requirements for a home occupation special permit will be met. There's no variances needed. The only thing left is just that, and I think it's in the resolution that was drafted, there's 9 special permit criteria that are in your code. Anytime you approve a special permit, you have to go through those, plus and this is specific to a home occupation use. There's a list of criteria that have to be met, regarding things like noise and outward appearance of a business and traffic and storage of wastes and things like that. So I think if the board wants to discuss each of those individually as part of the resolution, I think it's already laid out. That would be my only recommendation. So we got some answers about noise. Depending on where the board wants to go with that, we can take a look at the specs of the stuff that they're installing or have already installed. I do have acoustical experts at the firm that can look at that. If there's really a concern, we could take it a step further and, do like a desktop study of, based on, I'm just throwing it out there. We've had private applicants, private clients that have done kennels, so we have kind of a sense of what the noise level is for a certain amount of dogs. We could model that, and see how it relates to the property lines, but, that's at the board's decision or discretion to do, because it would be an expense to the applicant out of the escrow account.
Sure. Okay. Engineer Berger?
I have no engineering concerns.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's, I guess, go to the county letter, which was just a matter of local concern. They didn't have any
No.
comments? Okay, so we covered that. And
Although I can get a fire hydrant. Sorry. For the dogs. No.
Okay, so so I guess at this point, I guess
Motion
we
open the
open the
hearing.
public hearing, right? Yes. Okay, motion to open the public hearing made by Member Villano, seconded by Member Holmes. All in favor of opening the public hearing for King Pet Services, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Okay, this public hearing is now open. Please have a seat, thank you. We have one member of the public who has signed in, and then we also have a letter to be read in. Mr. Doherty, you can go first, or I can read the letter first, whichever you. All right. Just state your name, address.
My name is Chris Doherty. I live on Gobbler's Knob Road. I just had a couple of concerns or questions for the board. Obviously, the applicant laid out everything. I have no problem with 5 dogs and acoustics, and you sound like you're taking care of it, and that's great.
Right.
I was wondering for the board, as soon as a permit for a dog kennel is given, what's the stop? I know it's the 5-dog limit, but what's to stop the expansion of a kennel? Like, hey, I'm doing well, I'm going to add on, or I'm going to build an outside kennel.
Right.
Another concern is, I know this property's been for sale a couple times.
Okay.
If it's sold, does the new buyer, do they have a kennel permit? I don't know how it works. I'm just
Okay.
asking that question. Yeah, I'm just concerned about, I mean, when I hear a dog kennel going in my neighborhood,
Sure.
I'm sure everybody, you ask questions.
Sure.
Noise, it sounds like the noise is going to be taken care of, and it's not 20, 50 dogs, but I just have concerns of expansion and what can happen if the property is sold.
Okay. So the any expansion would have to come back to the planning board.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was like, well, now, hey, it's going well, I'd like to add on a 6th dog. I mean, if the condition of approval is 5 dogs, yeah, they would have to come back even for something as seemingly minor as that.
What if they don't come back? Like, all of a
Well,
sudden
then they'd be in
it's a dog?
violation.
Okay.
That'd be a code enforcement officer concern.
Okay.
So, you know, what it would come to is, usually what happens is it's a neighbor or someone nearby is like, yeah, I see them out there with 10 dogs, like all on a leash, like dragging around the property. You know, that's when it would be.
I've had
yeah.
an issue with, there was another property that's been there for couple of years. I don't know if it went from the planning board. It was a landscape company right across from Gobbler's Knob on Old Poling. And I guess
Across.
it's a landscape company. But now there's a tractor trailer there, there's a boat there, and there's a shipping container stored there. So
Right. That sounds like a code enforcement
I called
officer
the
issue.
town board, and they said, oh, yeah, he got approval for a landscape company.
Okay.
I'm like, but he has a lot of stuff there. And he's like, oh, he's going to get rid of some of it.
Well,
so I'm just saying,
yeah,
it doesn't get enforced as well as I'd like it to get enforced.
We'll look into that.
On Gobbler's
not
Knob?
not to conflate that with
I know, yes,
their
no,
project,
yes.
but yes.
I'm just saying,
Okay.
I like to see things followed up.
I understand. Yeah. And then, sorry, the second concern was, if the property's sold, does the kennel
Yeah.
continue
Is
with
it
the
still good?
property? Yeah, it's
It
an
goes-
approval on the property.
It goes with it, but it's, right now it would be a home occupation.
Right.
So it would have to be operated by the owner of the property.
Yes.
And there's an annual permit renewal requirement.
Yes.
And
With
so-
still max 5 dogs or.
So if they're
Right, it would be the
right,
same.
so if they're buying the property in the house, I don't know if your house is property's for sale. But if someone were to, I mean, eventually, someday, hopefully 40, 50 years from now, the property's going to be owned by somebody else. Presuming they've kept up with everything they're supposed to keep up with, they're buying a house with a kennel. And they might be like, I don't want a kennel. And it just ceases.
Perhaps.
But maybe that's why they're buying it. Just like you might buy a house with a in-ground pool.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, just.
Okay. Anything further, Mr. Doherty?
No, like I
No.
said, I'm all for someone owning a business. I think 5 dogs is great. I think everything's being taken care of. I just want to make,
Yeah.
All right,
Great, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then there was this letter, which I'll read now. My name is Kevin Gilligan from 206 Old Pauling Road, and I share an approximate 450-foot border with the petitioner. As an adjoining property owner, I have a few areas of concern with the proposed special permit for a kennel. As stated at the September 18, 2023 meeting of the Town of Dover Planning Board, the petitioner understands noise to be inherent in a kennel and a potential issue for neighbors, as King Pet Services has already purchased insulation for the kennel walls, blankets for the garage doors, and intends to have rubber floors, all in an attempt to limit noise. May I also suggest the Planning Board require the petitioner use acoustic sound baffles that hang from the ceiling, as many kennels do. I think it is essential that nuisance noise abatement procedures be required proactively. Number 2, the Dover Town Code section on noise in Chapter 107-3, Unlawful Acts. Number 11 states, animals. No person shall keep, permit, or maintain any animal under his or her control that causes unnecessary noise by continued barking, howling, or other animal noises. Given the fact that kennels are noisy places, what guarantees can be made that the granting of the special permit will not subject surrounding residents to excessive noise? Additionally, the Town Code lists the word quote-unquote noise 55 separate times, thereby acknowledging how important an issue it is for the health and well-being of the residents of Dover. How will noise compliance be monitored, and how will complaints be addressed? 3, can the petitioner clarify the number of dogs to be kenneled in the petitioner's 8/28/23 agricultural data statement document for the planning board? The response to number 4, description of proposed project, states a pet boarding facility with less than 5 kennels that is indoors. However, in the applicant's letter of intent from 9/19/23, the petitioner states, I, Amor Duplessis, am seeking a special permit approval from the planning board to utilize 644 square feet area in a warehouse as a home occupation for a kennel with no more than 5 dogs. Additionally, the petitioner stated at the September 18, 2023 meeting of the planning board an intent to kennel 5 dogs. However, the memorandum from AKRF Aaron Werner to the Town of Dover Planning Board dated September 15, 2021, probably not 2021, but states the applicant, Amor Duplessis, is seeking special permit approval from the planning board to utilize an existing 2,400 square foot storage structure on the subject residential property at 13 Rainbow's End, parcel ID 1326000-7059-00-494-195, for a kennel with not more than 4 dogs, plus a cat room, storage, and office space. End quote. If noise concerns can be addressed, I wish the petitioner success with the home occupation kennel. Okay. So, I'm sorry, respectfully submitted, Kevin J. Gilligan, 206 Old Pauling Road. And
There was a typo in my memo.
you put 2021?
No. It was 2023. But the opening paragraph on the description said not more than 4 dogs, but the rest of the memo acknowledges 5. So it was just
Okay.
sorry.
Yep. Okay. Just a quick legal question. Could we block out his, put his cell phone number at the bottom?
Yes.
Okay.
And
You might not have thought it would be broadcast on television.
that's fine for personal reasons, yes.
Okay. Anyway. Okay, so that was from your neighbor. So, no other letters have been submitted with regards to this public hearing for King Pet Services. Any other members of the public wishing to speak at this public hearing, please come to the podium at this time. Okay, seeing no one else approaching the podium, maybe we could do what we did before, get a little clarification on a couple things, and then either continue or close the public hearing. So, if you'd like to come back to the podium, please. Okay, so to be clear, you would like to have a kennel with a maximum of 5 dogs?
Correct.
Okay, no greater than 5 dogs?
Correct.
Okay. So you may need to update a document then, like the agricultural data statement?
No, I think I double checked the application materials and they all said 5. It
Okay.
was my memo that was wrong. in
Got
one
it.
spot.
Okay. So I just want to make sure there's consistency. Okay. So you're saying, Planner Werner, that the applicant does not need to do anything with regard to that?
No, when I saw this letter today, I double-checked the application materials, and I didn't see anything. It said up to 5 in various places, so I was fine with that.
All right. Okay. May I also suggest the planning board require the petitioner use acoustic sound baffles that hang from the ceiling, as many kennels do.
Those are
Okay.
the ones when I started saying that I already ordered it.
Yes.
For if the board's like, yeah, go for it and hang it, and I'll hang it. I just need to wait for it to get in.
Okay, so you've already ordered that.
I've already ordered it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
So
anything
I guess
further?
the question is, are you now proposing that as part of your project, something that,
I mean, it's still the panels, like, it's still noise panels that the person recommended using, where when I did the research on it, they actually recommend that on the ceiling is better, so I'll do both options, so that,
so you're committing?
I'm committing.
Yes.
Okay.
Amazon's coming. I'm committing.
You're committing because you've already paid for it.
I already
and-
paid for it, but
Okay.
Yeah.
so I'm kind of like, I'll hang it, I'm not opposed to it.
All right. All right. I mean, anything further with regard to this? Okay. Someone throw out either a motion to continue or a motion to close this public hearing.
Motion to close.
Member Sador is proposing a motion to close this public hearing, seconded by Member Williams, and thirded by Member Villano. Any discussion on closing a public hearing? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Okay, this public hearing is now closed, 6-0 with 1 absence. All right. Okay, so you've heard the concerns of 2 of your neighbors. Anything further, I think, that you would like to add with respect to your application?
No, I think I'm,
Okay. I mean, I think you've laid it out that no more than 5 dogs, no more than 1 dog outside at a time.
Yeah.
It does sound like you will have neighbors that might be
Oh,
listening
absolutely.
in for
Sure.
noisy dogs and
Yeah.
may then complain about it.
As long as I make sure it's my dogs,
Well,
because my
sure,
dogs are
yes.
not,
No,
like,
there's-
there's a couple of dogs in my neighborhood. So,
We've all been all over this town. Every other house has
I know.
one or more dogs.
But that's business.
One or more than one dog.
That's
so,
business, so
yeah.
I'm not,
There's a lot of dogs.
but I mean, I can't vouch for myself because my neighbors don't know me.
Mm.
But I'm not looking to build this into the biggest kennel that you've ever seen in your life.
Right.
I worked in kennels like that.
Yeah.
It's not my intention, I'm,
You're not taking King Pet Services like nationwide next year.
no, too many permits.
Sure.
Like, wait.
All right.
No, but it's not. So, I mean, I
Okay.
know it doesn't help. You got to see it to know it, but
Sure.
I'm not looking to
Okay.
grow anything. I enjoy
All right.
7 o'clock being on my porch and it's nice and quiet.
Sure.
I do.
Thank you.
But,
All right.
Any-
Attorney Polidoro, at this time, we need to do what?
so if the board is
So we
ready.
have a resolution with
We have a
Mad Libs or
resolution and we
something?
can work through it.
Okay.
So
Oh, I
in
see.
item 7, I was hoping that we could list what these, we're calling them noise insulating materials were.
Okay.
So they would be, flat panels, hanging baffles, and I also heard blankets. And then at the end, I added a requirement that before they could get a CO, the building inspector would have to confirm that these noise insulating materials were in fact installed.
Okay. So there were rubber floors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Flooring?
Rubber mats.
Rubber mats?
Mats.
Yes. It's epoxy, and then I have rubber mats already laid out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. The walls was,
It was acoustical, so
Paneling.
you have acoustical paneling on the walls. What separation between the panels?
So,
It's like one panel.
so there's 1, 2, 3 walls, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
the other side is the garage, but even at the door. So 2 of the panels that are against the other rooms, those have like clumped acoustic paneling.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones that are towards the outside of the building, those are actually like 12 inches apart. Because that's actually what they recommend, instead of putting all of them together like a honeycomb. If you do that, then it's just bouncing up and down anyway. So that's,
okay. So acoustical paneling.
Like it's hanging baffling, I think.
Hanging baffling, or
Hanging.
hanging baffles.
Hanging baffles. It sounds like Harry
Hanging
Potter.
baffles.
Hanging
Those
baffles.
look like little clouds, so
Yeah.
I have all of that, if I need to submit it.
But
Rubber mats,
after we list all of them, we probably should put the condition installed by manufacturer's recommendation. That way, Don can see the recommendations were followed, because they're listed on the material.
Okay, so the applicant is committed to install the following materials to manufacturers.
Recommendations. That sheet provided to
Manufacturers. Specifications?
We could put that in at the end condition that they should provide the spec sheets.
Reduce the potential for noise as part of the project. Rubber mats, acoustical paneling.
Blankets.
I mean, we have
Acoustical,
acoustical blankets.
Acoustical
blanket
blankets.
And acoustical hanging
baffles.
baffles. Those are 4 different things.
Okay.
All right, so then we're going to eliminate E.
And so now, just to stay on this thought, if we go
Yep.
down a little bit further to the conditions of approval, further. Keep going. Okay. Item 3 says, a signed acknowledgement from the applicant that the proposed noise insulating materials presented to the planning board, then I put insert brand model info, but will be installed and continuously. So I think here we need to say submission to the planning board
Cut sheets.
of,
Wait, assigned
so
acknowledgement.
I would start number 3 with submission to the planning board, or
Submission to the,
of manufacturer's cut sheets
of,
for the noise
sure,
insulating materials,
cut sheets for,
the noise insulating materials.
Capitalized. Because you defined it, right?
yep,
I don't know if I capitalized up top.
for the proposed,
Well, and then it, because that's going to be the second part, and an acknowledgement that,
oh,
yeah,
so.
noise insulating materials. And an acknowledgement that the noise insulating materials. And then we can delete the rest before will be installed and continuously maintained for the life of the project. Yeah. So now it would be a continuing obligation of the approval that,
Mhm.
you know, they replace the baffles if they fall or.
Sure.
And then even, if you go down even further, just the final suspenders here. It says, prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the project, the code enforcement officer shall inspect the property to ensure that the noise insulating materials have been installed according to project specifications.
Shall inspect the property to ensure that noise. Okay,
Okay, so
and then there was another yellow section here.
that was, I was guessing that was going to happen tonight,
Okay.
and now it did, so we
All
can
right.
take that off. Okay. Oh, 5. This was just whether the board wanted to provide an average, this was getting to the idea of whether this was a daycare with cars coming in and out twice a day, or whether this was
Right.
a longer-term day. Do you have an average boarding duration for the business?
I mean, as of right now, most of my clients are doing the, have been doing like the, holidays, vacation kind of things, like I don't have. any-
Yeah, I'm sorry, you just have to come to the podium.
Oh,
So.
I'm sorry.
No, it's, no, I should have said it earlier. It's
Okay.
fine. It just for the for purpose of the microphone,
Yep,
picking up your
yep,
voice.
Not a problem. So right now, most of my clients are more like 3 or more days.
So like 3 to 7? Or?
Yeah, yep, those are most of, I don't have, now I offer my clients that I go and pick up their dogs. So to eliminate, I don't want people coming in and out, you know.
Okay. I think if we just.
I mean,
put-
either way, it's car traffic.
Yeah, I don't have daycare people coming at different hours and, you
Right.
know, coming in at noon and then 4 o'clock, that's not,
So you're precluding the idea of having like a doggy daycare set up, or
I'm sorry?
you're not interested in having a doggy daycare? Okay. All right. So, I mean, no more than 5 dogs be boarded at any given time, and the average boarding duration is,
I'd say 3 to 7 days.
okay. But again, this in no way, I mean, someone's going away for vacation for 2 weeks, it doesn't,
It doesn't, right, it's just an
Preclude.
idea of how it's how it's intended to operate.
gotcha. So a long weekend or a week, something, okay.
Yeah.
All right, any other blanks to fill
I
here?
think that's it.
All right. All right. Anything further from our consultants? Anything further from members of the planning board? All right. Resolution to grant special use permit approval, King Pet Services. Okay, whereas the applicant, Amor, am I saying that right? I'm sorry, Amor?
Yes.
Okay. Amor Duplessis has submitted an application for special use permit approval with site plan approval for a home occupation in order to utilize a 644 square foot portion of an existing accessory structure as a kennel, which would be known as the project, at property located at 11-13 Rainbow's End, tax parcel number 7059-00-494195, which would be known as the property in the RU zoning district. And whereas the project is depicted on a sketch and described in supplemental materials received on September 19, 2023, collectively known as the sketch plan, and whereas the kennel would utilize indoor movable kennels to provide boarding for no more than 5 dogs at a time, and provide a separate room for cats and a separate room for an office/storage area, all waste bagged, stored, and disposed of through weekly private residential waste carting. And whereas pursuant to zoning law 145-41, a home occupation occupying more than 30% of the floor space of the primary dwelling unit is permitted with special permit and site plan approval, but said a home occupation cannot exceed 40% of the floor space of the primary dwelling unit. Excuse me. And whereas the primary dwelling unit on the property is approximately 1,839 square feet, and whereas the applicant proposed to utilize 644 square feet of floor area within a existing accessory structure of the property, or approximately 35% of the primary dwelling floor area for the home occupation. And whereas pursuant to zoning law 145-41, a home occupation shall be incidental and secondary to the use of a dwelling unit for residential purposes, and shall be conducted in a manner which does not give the outward appearance of a business, nor shall it infringe on the right of neighboring residents to enjoy the peaceful occupancy of their dwelling units, and does not alter the character of the neighborhood. And whereas pursuant to zoning law 145-41, the automobile and truck traffic generated by a home occupation shall not be greater than the volume of traffic that would normally be generated by residential use, unless the residence is located on New York Route 22, 55, or 343. And whereas on September 18, 2023, the Planning Board determined that the project is a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SECRA, and no further review under SECRA is required. And whereas pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law, the project was referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, which responded on September 19, 2023, that the project was a matter of local concern. And whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on October 16, 2023, during which all those who wished to speak were heard, now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Board makes the following findings regarding the proposed home occupation pursuant to Section 145-41B, subsection 2, subsections A through H. 1. The home occupation will be conducted by residents of the dwelling unit and no more than 2 non-resident assistants or employees at any one time. The project sponsor lives in an accessory dwelling unit on the property that intends to operate the kennel as its sole employee. The project will not exceed 40% of the floor space of the primary dwelling unit, which is permitted within a special use permit. 2, the home occupation will be incidental and secondary to the use of the property for residential purposes. The property is over 74 acres in size, and the home occupation will occupy a very small portion, 644 square feet, plus outdoor areas for walking the dogs. Dogs will be leashed and supervised while outdoors. The home occupation will take place in an existing accessory structure which is set back from the road and will not give the outward appearance of a business. The structure exists and no exterior alterations are proposed to accommodate the home occupation. The home occupation will not infringe on the right of neighboring residents to enjoy the peaceful occupancy of their dwelling units and will not alter the character of the neighborhood. 3, the applicant has not proposed a sign in connection with the home occupation. 4, there is sufficient parking on the property for the home occupation. The sole employee lives on the property and driveway provides for adequate off-street parking for customers. The home occupation does not involve business vehicles with a gross weight larger than 10,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. The home occupation, 5, the home occupation will not generate automobile or truck traffic greater than the volume of traffic that would normally be generated by residential use. No more than 5 dogs will be boarded at any given time, and the average boarding duration is 3 to 7 days. Cats will generally be boarded for periods of 3 to 7 days. 6, the home occupation will not involve the exterior storage of materials, equipment, vehicles, or other supplies used in conjunction with the home occupation unless screened from the road and other properties. 7, the home occupation will not result in an offensive appearance, noise, vibration, smoke, electrical interference, dust, odors, or heat. There shall be no substances
There's missing a which.
which were
Well, no,
which
I
Take
don't
out
know.
will.
Just take one of the.
which may
Which may.
Which may,
which may endanger
sorry, which,
the public health or safety. The applicant has committed to install the following materials to manufacturer specifications to reduce the potential for noise as part of the project. A, rubber mats. B, acoustical paneling. C, acoustical blankets. D, acoustical hanging baffles. Together, the noise insulating materials. Be it further resolved that the planning board determines pursuant to section 145-63A of the zoning law that the project will not violate any of the special use permit criteria applicable to major projects listed in zoning law 145-63B as set forth below. The project will comply with all land use district, overlay district, and other specific requirements of the zoning law and other local laws and regulations, and will be consistent with the purposes of the zoning law and the land use district in which it is located. The purpose of the RU district is to promote agriculture and compatible open space and rural uses by discouraging large-scale residential development. The proposed home occupation would repurpose an existing accessory structure on the property, maintaining the existing open space on the property. 2, the project will not result in excessive off-premises noise, dust, odors, solid waste, or glare, or create any public or private nuisances. Only 5 boarded dogs will be permitted on the property at any given time. Outdoor noise will be minimized by leashing dogs when they are outside for walks. No walking of dogs would occur near Gobbler's Knob Road or any other public roadways. The applicant has shared plans and specifications with the planning board related to noise insulating materials proposed for the interior walls of the project as well as the garage floor. 3, the project will not cause significant traffic congestion, impair pedestrian safety, or overload existing roads, considering their current width, surfacing, and condition. The project will utilize an existing driveway which is sufficient to handle the traffic. The limit on the number of dogs and cats in the facility and its relatively small size will ensure that there are no traffic impacts. 4, the project will be accessible to fire, police, and other emergency vehicles. 5, the project will not overload any public water, drainage, or sewer system, or any other municipal facility. Property is served by a private well and private wastewater disposal system. Animal waste will be bagged in place and refuse containers will be picked up by a private hauler on a weekly basis. 6, the project will not materially degrade any watercourse, or other natural resource or ecosystem or endanger the water quality of an aquifer. No exterior alterations are proposed, and animal waste will be bagged and disposed of privately. 7, the project will be suitable for the property, considering the property's size, location, topography, vegetation, soils, natural habitat, and hydrology, and if appropriate, its ability to be buffered or screened from neighboring properties and public roads. The home occupation will take place in an existing accessory structure which is set back over 300 feet from the roadway. 8, the project will be subject to such conditions on operation, design, and layout of structures and provision of buffer areas as may be necessary to ensure compatibility with surrounding uses and to property
Properly.
and to
Right, and to property. This is, yeah, compatibility with surrounding uses
ensure the compatibility with surrounding uses
and to property.
and to property,
Comma.
comma. Jeez. The natural, historic, and scenic resources of the town. 9, the project will be consistent with the goal of concentrating retail uses in hamlets, avoiding strip commercial development, and buffering non-residential uses that are incompatible with residential use. 10, the project will not adversely affect the availability of affordable housing in the town. The home occupation will adaptively reuse a former agricultural structure. 11, the project will comply with applicable site plan criteria in 145-65D. 12, the project will have no greater overall off-site impact than would full development of the property with uses permitted by right. The home occupation would generate less disturbance, traffic, and water usage than if the property were to be fully developed with single-family homes at a density of 1 dwelling unit per acre. Where did we get the 1 dwelling unit per acre? That's not the RU district.
Not the district? You see,
The SR district would be 1 acre.
it's RU. Hold on.
I was just saying if it, right,
Did I get that wrong?
2 or 5.
Let me look.
I can't remember. I think it's 2 and then RC is 5, is that?
I have RU, so I guess if it's a flexible subdivision, it's 1 acre per dwelling unit under the RU, but it's, the minimum lot size for conventional is 2. So I was going, worst case scenario, but
Okay.
it's, am I reading that
You're
wrong?
saying someone could take this property and do
They were
a
doing a
flexible subdivision and get to 1 acre
per dwelling
with,
unit,
sure.
right.
Okay. All right, so we'll leave it there. Be it further resolved that the planning board hereby grants special use permit approval with site plan approval to the project as depicted and described on the sketch plan, and authorizes the chair or the authorized designee to sign the sketch plan after compliance with the following conditions. 1, payment of all fees in escrow. 2, a signed acknowledgement from the applicant that the project must comply with the standards applicable to home occupations listed in zoning law. Section 145-41B, subsection 1, subsections A through H. 3, submission to the planning board of manufacturer's cut sheets for the proposed noise insulating materials and an acknowledgement that the noise insulating materials will be installed and continuously maintained for the life of the project. Be it further resolved that prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the project, the code enforcement officer shall inspect the property to ensure that the noise insulating materials have been installed according to the project specifications. Be it further resolved that pursuant to zoning law 145-41B, subsection 2, the operator of the project must obtain an annual operating permit from the code enforcement officer beginning in the 2nd year of operation. Such operating permit shall be granted after the code enforcement officer inspects the premises and finds the home occupation to be in compliance with all conditions of this special permit approval.
Excuse me, so that means every year I would need to contact the town to have my kennel inspected by the town? Is that what it means?
Product.
Attorney Polidoro.
Yeah, for all home occupations, that is the case.
Okay,
That's not because you're a kennel, that's just because it's what home occupations have to do.
okay. Yeah, I just wanted to understand it, so it's
Yeah.
not like I'm, in December, I'm like, oh, I didn't.
Yeah, so it's with
You know?
the beginning of the 2nd year of the operation, so
Okay.
presumably it'd be a year from now, or
So
a
just,
year from whenever you get the
right,
the
from when
occupancy,
it's
really.
signet, right.
Yeah, so it could be a year from November or December.
Just in discussing that, be it further resolved clause about the noise insulating materials.
Yes.
Where it says project specifications, it should probably say manufacturer's specifications.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Or product.
According to the,
We should say manufacturers, just because that's what we were asking her to submit,
Yes.
so,
specifications.
yep.
Yeah, that
There
way
we go.
he's not looking for, yeah.
Right. We don't have specifications, they have specifications.
Correct.
Sure. All right. All right, anything further on this resolution before actually see if anybody wants to approve this thing? Okay. All right, so this resolution is being offered by Member Sador, second by Member Lano. Discussion. Okay. I think this is going to be a good project for you. I think the concerns of noise have been addressed. I think you understand that if you, in the future, or the successor to King Pet Services in the future wants to expand this in any way, you'd have to come back and get additional approval. I guess I'll leave it at that. Any other members of the planning board have anything to say? No? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, Secretary, please call the roll on resolution to grant special use permit approval for King Pet Services.
Member Williams?
Aye.
Member Valano?
Aye.
Member Sador?
Aye.
Member Roman?
Aye.
Member Holmes?
Aye.
Chairman Courtine?
Aye. Resolution is adopted 6-0 with 1 absence. Congratulations.
Thank
You have a bit of work to do before we actually get
I
going.
have
but-
business cards. No, I'll get my work done. And then I'll.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
For your time.
Thank you. That can go that way.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next, we have new business, LWF LLC. Sir?
Good evening. I'm Donald Capolino. My office is at 7 Broad Street, Pauling, New York. I'm representing LWF, and for this matter, since it is a lot line adjustment, the neighboring parcel, Danny Fortune and Company, they're in agreement. They're just trying to take a parcel of land that's been being leased by LWF from Danny Fortune and Co. And have it attached to the existing LWF White Stag Farm that they now operate there. And it's following the fence line that was put in place as, for the lease purposes. So this is already treated as part of the LWF farm. You're taking something next to an industrial site and turning it into a farm site. It seems to be a very positive thing for everybody involved. So we're just, we've submitted everything. We've read the comments by Aaron. He wanted some changes to the, some additional information on the preliminary plat. The day we received it, we sent it on to the surveyor for Insight Engineering, and they're working on all of those. We really have no objections to anything, so we're just looking to have the public hearing set and move forward.
All right. And so you're looking to move this line, which is largely represented by a stone wall, down to being this line, which is represented by this fence.
Right, that's all.
All right. Any members of the planning board have any comments, questions?
No.
Mary Polidoro?
No.
Okay. Planner Werner?
Just a few, but it sounds like they're all going to be addressed, but I'll just, for the board's benefit, just summarize them. The first one was just having to do with Dover Furnace Road. If you want to pull up the plat, it might be better. So Dover Furnace Road is right now kind of included in the property survey instead of the survey going up to it on each side of it, which I think should happen. And Joe agrees because it's not a user road; it's a county road. So technically, the parcel straddles the road, but there's lot lines on either side of the road.
So it should be that there's a line here and a line here with one of those like arrows that kind of goes
Correct.
across. Okay.
Yeah, they've expressed no
Okay.
objection to that. So
Okay.
we're assuming he'll submit it, or if he has any questions, you'll get the Mr. DeRosa's comments back.
Okay. So we just need an updated
Yeah, we're gonna ask for an updated plat with a few things on it.
Okay.
That's one of them. The other one would be showing the, any well or septic that's associated with the Palumbo block building there.
Yeah, we're sure
Um,
it's nowhere near the lot line.
Yeah, I agree with you, but it's just practice to include
Sure,
it.
that's fine.
Some notes on the aquifer overlay can be added to it. That's something that we've been doing lately, just making sure that, once this is a final map, that those notes are there, so folks are aware that any new development on this would be subject to those requirements of the town code. That's comment number 11. Comment number 12 is regarding the bulk table that you've got in there. I just thought it would be helpful to have a proposed column for each of, for the RC and the M zoning, just to show that you're complying with what you're doing here. Just a minor typo on the lot number for number 13. It's a type 2 for seeker. We did notice that there's a wetland that's pretty much in the area of where this exchange is happening. It wasn't delineated on the map. We're not asking for that to happen. I think what might be the better idea would just be for the surveyor to take that GIS layer, which is pretty available, and just show it on the plat and say approximate location of DEC regulated wetland. Just so it's, again, for future conveyance of property, folks are aware that that's there and they would have to delineate it if they want to build anything. The fence, there seems to be a fence going through it now. I guess that wasn't an issue for permitting, but it's in the past, so,
Okay.
But any other future development would need to address that wetland. Here, it's just kind of a preserve farm use.
This is the 10-foot fence keeping the,
Yeah, it's a
like,
deer
2,000
fence.
acres of uber deer that you have up
Yeah.
on the hill.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Deer.
They're giant. They're gigantic, and it's like
pretty
at least years ago you'd drive by them, and it was like you were at a zoo because they would just look at you from the fence, and it was weird.
I don't know if that,
Like they're meant to be shot, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway.
And stuffed.
Well, they venison too, right? Don't they?
Sure, you can eat 'em.
I don't know if any of you have seen, I mean, we were here before
Right.
with the approval of the pond. I don't know if any of you
Yes.
have been out there to see that pond, but
Yeah, but-
shortly after it was there, we have pictures of deer all coming to the pond.
That's great.
And it's a beautiful sight. It
Yeah.
really came out.
I was glad to hear it actually worked like it was supposed to. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I figured it would, but good to actually get that confirmed. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, so tonight I recommended that we classify it as type 2. It's a lot line change, which is pretty clear, type 2. And if you're ready to set a public hearing, you can do that as well.
Okay. Thank you, Planner Werner. Engineer Berger. Okay. Having heard from our consultants, any members of the planning board have any comments, questions at this time?
None here.
Okay. I guess we're going to be setting the public hearing, and okay.
We have a resolution also after you set the hearing.
All right. Yeah, bring that up. Does the order matter? Classifying, public hearing, classifying?
It
Okay.
doesn't.
All right, so motion to set a public hearing for our meeting on November 20th, right? Okay. So on the motion to set a public hearing for lot line adjustment for Danny Fortune and Company and LWF LLC for Monday, November 20th at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the planning board can hear public comments. This motion is made by member Roman, seconded by member Villano. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of setting this public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, that public hearing is now set by a vote of 6-0 with one absence for November 20th. We have other things going on, but
I have a question about escrow. Does the escrow, should it be increased?
yeah. Consultants? I mean,
I don't think so.
You don't think
Based
so?
on the initial,
Okay.
we probably are
okay.
falling under that, but yeah, I don't have my timesheet with me to tell you the
Okay.
hours.
Okay.
All right.
But usually, you just let the applicant know that it needs.
Okay.
Okay. And then a resolution classifying the action, line adjustment for Danny Fortune and Company and LWF LLC. Whereas the applicants, Danny Fortune and Company Incorporated and LWF LLC, have submitted an application for line adjustment to transfer 35.823 acres to Lot 1, which is tax parcel number 7062-00-249-339, which is currently 69.497 acres, from Lot 2, which is 7062-00-230066, which is currently 97.078 acres, on property in the vicinity of 365 Dover Furnace Road. This will be known as the project. And whereas the lots are located in the industrial/manufacturing and resource conservation zoning districts and in the aquifer overlay district, and portion is located within County Agricultural District 23. And whereas the project is depicted on a plat entitled Lot Line Adjustment prepared for LWF LLC and Danny Fortune and Company, prepared by Jeffrey B. DeRosa, land surveyor, dated September 6, 2023, which will be known as a subdivision plat. And whereas the applicant has submitted a short environmental assessment form, or EAF, dated September 27, 2023, pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SECRA. And whereas, in accordance with SECRA, the planning board is required to determine the classification of the proposed project. And whereas, pursuant to 6 NYCRR, Section 617.5C, a lot line adjustment is a Type 2 action under SECRA. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the planning board hereby classifies the project as a Type 2 action under SECRA. This resolution is being offered by Member Holmes, seconded by Member Villano. Discussion. Just one quick thing. So one parcel is industrial manufacturing and the other parcel is resource conservation.
No, I think it's the
Does it go?
district kind of.
It goes through the parcel? Oh, okay.
Is it on
Okay.
the map?
It's something we could figure out in the next 5 weeks. It doesn't have to be figured out tonight. I didn't know if it becomes an issue if everyone adjusting a line and now it's making it so it's partially this and partially that. Or.
I mean, the lots are so big, I don't believe we're creating a nonconformity, but
That's why
Aaron
I
did
asked
ask for the
table.
the
Right.
zoning table
So
to
they'll figure it
demonstrate that.
Okay. So we got 5 weeks to figure that out. Okay. Any further discussion on this resolution? All right. Seeing no further discussion, resolution classifying the action for lot line adjustment for Danny Fortune and Company and LWF LLC. Secretary, please call the roll.
Member Williams?
Aye.
Member Villano?
Aye.
Member Sador?
Aye.
Member Roman?
Aye.
Member Holmes?
Aye.
Chairman Cortine.
Aye. Resolution thereupon adopted, 6-0 with one absence. Do we have anything further for Mr. Capolino this evening?
Nothing further. Nothing further. Thank you.
I think we're all set. All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Have a good night. Thank you. All right, so our next scheduled meeting is November 20th. The deadline for that meeting is November 1st. We have a public hearing for LWF LLC. We have, in all likelihood, 3185 coming back. We also have
Judson Farm?
Judson Farms.
Duhamel.
Duhamel.
Okay. And anything else that comes in the next 2? Okay.
Bring snacks.
What?
Bring snacks.
Yeah, I'm anticipating a long meeting, sorry. And then after that, we have a meeting on December 4th, and then we have a meeting on December 18th. Okay. Any further business before this planning board? Seeing no further business, I'll make a motion to adjourn, seconded by
Second.
Member Sador. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.
Thank you.